Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about The Secret Six, Issue 1 by Nicole Maines, Steven Segovia, and Rain Beredo. In the wake of Amanda Waller's failed takeover of Earth and the superhero community, the world is left with a massive power vacuum, and it's up to other morally ambiguous characters to take Waller's position. Heroes are obviously still fighting against Waller's plans though. At Belle Reve, Superman fights against the mind-controlled Bizarro, finding it strange since he was actually supposed to be like Bizarro, controlled by Waller's Brainiac Queen, and Bizarro was just the prototype before John was kidnapped and mind-controlled himself during the Absolute Power event. I do like that Maines is continuing John's story from that event, which he spent 90% under Waller's control, and the traumatic effect it has had on him and his mind. It's also made John a little bit angry. He's still very much in control though, but there is that underlying anger in his fight with Bizarro, seen when he ends the fight by ripping off the villain's robot arm. While John mops up Waller's leftovers, Nia herself is readying for surgery, but quickly finds it's actually a horrible nightmare, one brought on by the fact that she betrayed her friends and ended up working for Waller. Now, I do not like the build up to and the overall story of Dreamer turning on the heroes. There were way too many plot holes and pieces in her story that didn't pull together enough. Like, there were so many ways that she could have dealt with it than the way she ended up dealing with it, which was actually just help Waller. There were so many different ways they could have done it, and in the end it never really amounted to anything large. It just amounted to John and of course Jay not really trusting her, but then John trusting her because they're best friends now, and there's this weird thing where Nicole is kind of trying to write Dreamer as like possible love interest for John, or like kind of bigging up Dreamer's importance in John's life, which was really strange. It was in like a tie-in to Absolute Power where all that happened, and it just really was out of character for both of these characters to be doing that sort of stuff, and felt very weird. Like, why would that be a story they decided to write? It's very strange, but we're continuing that here with this sort of stuff. Before Nia awakens from her nightmare though, she sees her friends hold her down as Jay Nakamura gets ready to shoot her in the head, demanding to know where Amanda Waller is. John meanwhile returns to his and Jay's shared apartment, wishing things would go back to normal and he wouldn't have to deal with Waller's aftermath. Even his off hours are filled with Waller related things, as he finds Jay's constantly looking at the imprisoned Waller through security cameras. Now, right off the bat, we find out that Jay and John's relationship is kind of in a bit of a rocky place. Jay doesn't like that John constantly scares him by super speeding into a room or kind of like just appearing out of nowhere, and he seemingly knows that John is also spying on him. There is some playful teasing between the two, but you can tell that Jay is still reckoning with the fact that his mother was killed by Waller, and while John thinks that he might be getting better and might be healing from it over time, Jay is quick to correct him and state that he's never going to forgive what they did to him, they being Waller and by extension Dreamer. As if on cue, their talk is interrupted by Dreamer, who turns up to tell them that Amanda Waller has disappeared from prison. Now, the book does try to explain everything that went down in the Suicide Squad Dream Team book and Absolute Power with Dreamer, and how she was kind of blackmailed into being Waller's puppet and doing all of this sort of stuff. It feels like they're just trying to make excuses for how poorly written her side of that story was. It's even weirder when you remember the person writing Dreamer also played the character on Supergirl and has seemingly been the only one allowed to at DC to write Dreamer since she was reintroduced into comics. She has some sort of monopoly on the character, and I don't know whether it's just because DC, the editorial, might be scared of handing the character over to a person who is not trans, because Dreamer is trans and Nicole Maines is trans as well. There might be something like that, but it's really unfortunate. I think the character could do with some sort of reinvigoration with a different writer, or, you know, with help from a different writer. We could have some really interesting stories and variety as well, because there comes, you see it all the time in other characters as well, where when they're written by the same person over and over again, there becomes that repetition in the character, and you never really feel like there's anything new being done with the character, and that's what I feel like's been happening with Dreamer for quite a while now. What's worse about how they're trying to sort of explain what Dreamer was going through in Absolute Power and Dream Team book is that it's also being constructed in a way that makes Jay look like the bad guy in this situation, like him hating Nia for her role in Waller's plans and in his mother's death, death is seen as like a very bad thing, which is insane because he's 100% right to be angry at this woman who had a part to play in his mother's death and in what Waller did to John and the other heroes. He's 100% right to be angry at her. Dreamer, Superman, and Gossamer head to Belle Reve, where Dreamer has one of her future visions about Waller. John manages to break her from it, and we get more of Dreamer trying to apologize, but she's apologizing to the wrong person. She's apologizing to John and what she did to John and everything. And Jay even mentions in the book that, like, oh, she should be apologizing to me and what she did to me in my life. So the writers are aware of that Jay is angry and has a right to be, but they still playing it as it's a bad thing. It's so weird because all of this ends up sort of snowballing into more very unnecessary drama between these characters. They all start arguing with one another. And I can't believe I'm reading this in a book where Jay's anger is 100% warranted and he's framed as the bad guy. That's just stuck with me. And I just can't believe that this, got through all editorial and everything, and no one once went, hey, this guy is actually kind of right to be angry. It was never seemingly a thing that was brought up. I know a lot of people don't like Jay because writers don't really give him a lot to work with or don't really know how to do him, or their hands are tied in what to do with him. But shitting on him just to big up your own character, your own standing character more or less, is wild. It's completely insane. This is also the page where the team debut their new costumes, which are just kind of given to them. It's never really explained that, like, oh, these are like stealth suits or something like that. John's got a new costume. Well, it looks really cool. I really like it. These costumes are all designed by Steven Segovia here. John's is really cool with black, red, and gold. It looks really like a more armored version of Connor's jacket, which I thought was quite cool. And Jay's costume is pretty cool. It's an evolution of his first costume, and it feels very anime superhero inspired. Eventually, the group do head into the prison, and they are told they can't see Waller. However, Jay can't be bothered to listen to any of the guards and uses John's Justice League Unlimited membership card to access the prison, revealing that they actually do have clearance, that some people might be trying to stop them from going to see where Waller is. Now, Jay doing this actually causes more drama, this time between John and Jay, as Jay doesn't believe what Dreamer is saying about Waller being missing, doesn't really trust her, and with good reason. However, John, and I can't believe he actually does this, like, bigs up Dreamer, like saying that Jay should trust her because she's a good friend and a hero and she can be trusted. It's insane how much they're doing to try and, I guess, like, make Dreamer seem like a good person now in the wake of all this bad stuff she's done. It's so strange. John and Jay's argument is overheard by Black Alice, who reveals that she might actually know where Waller went, but won't say anything until she is let out of her cell. Alice mentions something that Dreamer believes is tied to her recent nightmare, where she saw her friends try to kill her, along with other people seemingly related to Checkmate or something to do with Checkmate. She isn't left with much time to talk as the guards soon arrive and attack the team, firing their guns, but John manages to block the bullets, only to find they aren't bullets. They are syringes seemingly filled with some sort of tranquilizer. Another thing Dreamer actually saw in her dream. Superman tries to tell the soldiers that they have Justice League clearance, but the men don't really seem to care, revealing that they have orders to kill the heroes on sight, from who is a mystery though, as Dreamer shields them from the gunfire. Nia eventually caves to Black Alice's demands and wants to free her to learn what became of Waller. Now, Alice's role here is really weird because obviously she has some sort of information the team need. It's more so to do with the fact that she is there to cause more unnecessary drama, as she tells John, or makes it known to the other heroes, that Nia actually killed a guy the last time she dreamwalked through his mind, something we saw in that Dream Team book. She killed a guy when she delivered the team into Gamora. And again, this causes another shouting match to erupt between them, and Dreamer to lose concentration of her shield, which allows some syringes to get through and hit her, knocking her out cold. Now, I get wanting to have drama in a team book. That's usually what happens in a team book, especially in something like a Suicide Squad or a Secret Six book, where you're throwing all of these ne'er-do-well characters together who have different personalities, strong personalities, and they're gonna argue. We've seen it time and time again. Usually the arguing is is more written better. Like it's not just drama for the sake of drama, which so far this is all it feels like. It just feels like we're creating all of this unnecessary drama between characters who we have seen in the past will want to stop and talk and hash things out, except here they don't. They just yell at one another. It's totally out of character for these people, especially for people like John. And it's even worse because the book even references stuff like this as well. Like John recognizes he can't let out prisoners because he is the son of Superman. He cannot be seen, taking a fugitive away from Belle Reve without any proper authorization and all of this sort of stuff. But the way it's communicated is just shouting at people, which is not like him at all. With Dreamer down and left with little choice, Jay is able to free Alice and use her abilities to teleport them away to a mansion in Vermont, where the team find a soldier came through the portal with them. But it's not just any grunt soldier though, as it's revealed to be Deadshot, and somehow Catman is there now, seemingly having been on the floor of this mansion this entire time and seemingly dead or dying. It's never really made clear what's going on, since this is the first page Catman is on and it's the final page of the issue. Secret 6 issue 1, if you couldn't really tell from the review here, is a book I did not like, which sucks because I love these characters. I love John, I love Dreamer, I really like Jay, I like what they were doing with him. I even really like the writing and art team behind the book. It's springboarding off some really terribly written story, doubles down on those stories, and also tries desperately to big up one hero while constantly putting another down for the sake of that. It really comes across as just so tiresome, especially because there are other ways you could have done this exact story and not have it come across as just whiny and just like trying to big up your own sort of self-insert character while putting others down around it and manufacturing drama. If you came for a Secret 6 book, you're going to be so far sorely disappointed. I don't think this first issue was really a Secret 6 book at all. The rest of the series, we're just going to have to wait and see, but if this is any indication, this is not off to a good start. I'm going to give this issue a 3 out of 10.